Hey, what's going on, everybody? Cornbread Trucker here, coming to you from the Loves here in Dodge City, Kansas. Actually got here yesterday morning and delivered my load today, and I've got a pre-plan, pick up a load later. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about kind of my thoughts maybe on this market, how it's affecting me right now, and kind of, I guess, what my plan is kind of going forward. So I don't know if you followed me. I like prime. This is where I'm going to stay at. No need to move around. The grass is not always greener on the other side, even if you get a little bit more money, which is why we're out here, of course. But then there's things that you got to deal with that you know, make it not worth the money. But you know, the last few weeks, several weeks, have really been tough. And generally, you know, I've made money. I have actually had now some couple weeks, that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, somewhere in there, that, you know, really was a loss. I put money in the account, but by the time you pay taxes, you know, you're not really making anything. And you know, I'm not seeing my account grow, that's for sure. It's actually going the other way. But, you know, we're in a downturn in the market. And actually, you know, right now, freight is actually picking up just a little bit. But we're not really seeing it at prime. And I guess I'll discuss what somebody told to me here in just a little bit about that. But to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of the situation, I got unloaded Friday just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, and was told that there wasn't going to be any loads in that area for a few days. What it probably really meant was basically the weekend. Could probably get dispatched on some, but it may not really be able to pick it up until that Monday or so. But I will say I was a little disappointed because I was asked to deadhead to Des Moines, Iowa, which honestly, deadheading in Des Moines did not upset me because I felt like there was a chance for a meat load, which would probably pay better. But I was a little disappointed in what happened. Was I was kind of told that maybe the dispatcher, maybe he felt like that's what would happen. Maybe he felt like before I even got there that he would have a load. But I didn't have the hours to get all the way to Des Moines that day. And now I got unloaded on Friday. So before he left, so his thought was get me to Des Moines and get me something to keep me busy throughout the weekend. And so now I didn't feel personally that I should have to drive all the way to Des Moines to find out where there was a load at, and get dispatched on it and go there versus necessarily going to Des Moines. But as I was going that way, I let them know that I wasn't going to be able to make it all the way to Des Moines, and was trying to find out maybe where would be a better area for me to go versus going to Des Moines. And you know, didn't really get an answer, and they don't know until you have a, you know, until you have a pre-plan. And so I ended up stopping for the bed, went to bed for the night, got with the weekend dispatch that morning and said, look, this is where I'm at, which, you know, was actually not in a bad spot for one of the places that I figured I'd most likely get a meat load. And he said, no, just keep heading towards Des Moines. And so that's what I did. and I got to Des Moines and still no pre-plan, and ended up setting all weekend. Now, you know, was not happy about that. I could have set in Ohio. However, I did feel like, you know, there was a chance to get a better paying load maybe with the meat load, and I did get that. The first one I did turn down, partially because it to be honest, kind of pissed me off, because that's what I had talked to him about that morning, that I was really in a good spot to head, and I'm not going to name the place, to head to this location to pick up a load, and they were still insistent that I go to Des Moines. And no, this place wasn't too far away from Des Moines. To be honest though, it would have saved me some fuel and some time on my clock. And but at that point it really didn't matter. I was going to end up with a 34-hour reset. So, but I was pissed off, and I didn't like the reload area. I didn't like where it was going to deliver to, so I turned that down and waited a while, and they finally dispatched me on another load. I went and picked it up on Monday morning, and got in here to Dodge City Tuesday. Wanted to deliver early, but couldn't get in any earlier than today. So, you know, I sat yesterday, went and delivered the day, and after I got unloaded, it took them a little bit, and then they really had a, you know, I kind of figured this is what was going to happen, was I wasn't going to get a load out of here today. It was going to be tomorrow. They wanted me to run over to Salina, pick up a load, run it to Wichita, and I knew they were just going to end up deadheading me back over here from Wichita. And it didn't really pay. It wasn't worth it. Turned it down. So then they turn around and send me another one, basically doing the same thing that paid less. And so I just spoke to the fleet manager just as it was being sent, and I told him I wasn't going to be doing any of that. I'd be willing to deadhead somewhere as long as it was something that paid, you know, but I wasn't going to waste money. I'd already been sent pretty much since Friday. I got here early Tuesday morning, and honestly, if I didn't have the drive I had from Des Moines to where I went and picked up that load, I'd have been here on Monday. So I picked up a load. I got unloaded Friday, and I picked up one load since Friday, and really it was just a day run, to be truthful. So, you know, that's not gonna make for a good week. So just 2 loads last week. Now the week before that, I actually made some money. Now, all that being said, you know, we got this downturn in the economy, and I was speaking to someone today that had a conversation with the driver that had been with Prime for a long time, and this was his theory. Even though freight is picking up right now, the rates are at a really low, and if you listen to the Prime safety meetings, when Rob Lowe gets up and talks, you know, he'll talk about being a low-cost carrier, but he's not going to be the cheapest carrier out there. And he'll tell you that, you know, customers, shippers, you know, they'll come to him and want him to drop or run the freight lower, you know, basically renegotiate the contracts. And, you know, he says he's not going to do that. So this driver had kind of spoke, like I said, this is, I guess you'll say, secondhand now information, but said that, you know, Rob has done this in the past in these downturns where, you know, freight might be picking up a little bit, but not necessarily for prime, because these shippers and things are wanting to, you know, pay a lower rate, and so prime's not accepting these loads, and they're going ahead and letting some of these other carriers run these real cheap loads, which in the long run hurts them financially, because they're losing money on loads, and they just kind of putting themselves in the hole in a bad financial spot. And that at a certain point, then that, you know, maybe some carriers go under, or just I'm gonna assume just kind of go under, maybe get bought out from other companies or whatever. But then, in order to get, as this freight picks up, they need a carrier who can deliver that freight, and that basically leaves prime. And so they'll pay the higher rates, even though the rates, they still want to pay those cheaper rates. They'll pay the higher rates to get prime to run these loads for them. So, you know, sounds like a good theory. You know, I'm gonna, you know, that's why I preach about putting money back, you know, to help get through these lean times. And though it's not easy, nobody likes to see their hard-earned money shrink in their accounts, or not even grow. But you know, it is something about that, is something in the, well, it's not just trucking, it's the entire economy. You know, everybody goes through this during a downturn, and you know, we did get a little bit of good news out of the Fed that they're going to pause interest rate hikes right now. But they did say that they're maybe looking at still doing 2 more, which, I don't know, might have made the market a little more uneasy. But you know, at some point we've got to go through the recession. Inflation is coming down. I mean, we're already, as far as I'm concerned, we're already in a recession, but by the metrics, you know, we need to go into a recession still, and you know, kind of get everything reset. But as far as new drivers coming into this market, I'm not going to say whether it's a good time or not a good time. It really depends on the person, the individual. For some people, you'll still make more money than what you're used to making. So that's really kind of up to the individual. And then, as far as should you go lease or company, you know, again, that's still up to you. If you don't have any money put back, you may very well want to just go company for a while, and get through this and let the economy come back around. You know, because especially right now with prime, now there's still drivers out here that are getting, I don't know if it's luck or, you know, they know somebody, I don't know what it is. There's still drivers out here with prime that I'll just say have better luck than others. Look, I'm a good driver. I don't cause them any problems. If there's any problem that I cause them, it's because I, you know, will kind of speak my mind on the message system, or I might even give them a phone call and vent. Probably not necessarily a great thing to do, but it's what works for me, is to get it off my chest. But still, you know, I went ahead and I, just to tell you how I feel about the future with Prime, and don't think that, I mean, I've second guessed it a little bit, but I went ahead and I ordered my lease purchase. I went ahead and got a Peterbilt, and you know, so I'm still moving forward with my plans, despite of everything that's going on, and we'll just see where it goes. Spoke to the individual that I will be training later. You know, I've always been upfront with him about the situation, and you know, we'll take it one day at a time. Most likely he will be on my truck. The way I look at that, I suspect things are going to pick up some, and if I can at least make the same thing that I'm making, that I can make as a solo, then, you know, I'll just be glad to get him on here and get him trained. And if it turns out I make more money on some weeks, that's great. You know, I don't want to lose money, especially since, you know, don't know exactly how long this downturn's going to be. So we're just going to continue to follow the market over the next few weeks. It's getting close to the time that he would be getting on the truck, but we'll just see again what the market does and what freight does. Hey, I want to shout out to Pavilion Trucker. I think I'm saying that right. He did a video about some of the things that he likes about being out on the road. You know, I grew up in this industry, riding with my dad, had a lot of fond memories. That's what I wanted to do when I got older, and I did do that for about 6-7 years. And then the reality of it was, you know, I ended up having kids, and you know, I still had some growing up to do, to be out on the road like that. So I quit driving and did other things, and you know, I've had a, you know, I'm not rich, but I've always been blessed. I could have been smarter with my money, but I'm blessed with the things that I got to do, and I've learned a lot, and I've grown a lot, and but getting back out here on the road, I really enjoy it. I love going across the country and not being in a bubble. I would not be happy, even a local driving job, just being in that bubble all the time. I would not be happy with that at all. I like being out here. I like kind of being my own boss. And you know, even this YouTube channel, just meeting people in that community, talking to people in that community, has been rewarding. Bavarian Trucker was talking about the fact of, you know, being an introvert, and most truckers probably are an introvert. And, you know, I really am. And he did kind of hit on something else about when you kind of maybe meet somebody and you're talking about something that you really grasp, and then you get to talking maybe too much. Well, that can be me also. But you know, when you're out here, a lot of times, you know, most of these drivers they just go back to their trucks, and I do the same thing, and I'll go watch my movie or whatever. But I do enjoy when I do talk to meet somebody and talk to them. Now, there's some people that I'll give you an example. I was in a truck stop waiting on a shower, and another driver came in. I'd walked in early. I could have just waited in the truck, but I walked in early, and another driver came in, and he was next in line after me, and he started talking and just on and on and on. And you know, my introverted ways, I kind of wanted to step away and just mind my own business, and man, he followed me around the truck stop just wanting to talk. So that gets, you know, sometimes that gets a little old. But I just rather, you know, I'm one of those, I just rather just kind of crawl in my corner and be left alone. But I do enjoy talking, especially with other prime drivers, and I do like talking to other carriers about their situations and all that. Don't really want to talk super trucky with anybody, but I don't mind listening a little bit about what you got to say about how loads are working out, and you know, good times or bad times. So, but that's really about all I got. Keep paying it forward. Stay safe out there. Feel free to ask me any questions. If you see me in a truck stop, feel free to come by, and if I'm in the truck, just knock. I'll be glad to talk to you. So anyways, take it easy, have a good one, stay safe. We'll talk to you later on.